Hello everyone, this is Simon Stevens from Inception Designs, here to take you through step 4 in building one of our autocockers. And step 4 is going to be installing the hammer, the mainspring and the IVG. So we have our body, we've already installed the valve. We're going to need some parts out of the clamshell labeled number 2. We're going to need the hammer spring, get rid of that bag so it's out of sight, the IVG and the hammer. Okay, now all of the hammers should come with a 1/8 of an inch set screw installed for the lug tightening. That's this one in here. It's worth taking it out and just checking that you do have a 1/8 set screw. Making sure that it is the right length makes building the gun easier. Some of the early Some of the early hammers we did used a 1/4 inch set screw, which is when we were doing them just for mid-block guns, or mainly they were being used in autocockers and snipers that were mid-block. But now, with the way we're setting our guns up, going to a 1/8 set screw actually makes everything align and work much better. And before we install this, we want to make sure that that set screw is tight, and it's tightening against the urethane plug, which pushes on the hammer lug and makes the hammer lug have friction when we're moving, so our timing's never going to change. So we tighten down that screw at the back. It makes it really nice and tight to move the hammer lug, so you can adjust it, but it won't ever back up on its own. And you want to make sure that that hammer lug is just below the surface of the hammer. So if you're looking down the hammer from one end, you can't see the hammer lug. So it's just below. Okay, that makes it very easy for when we're setting the timing. Now what you're also going to do is you're going to take your nylon set screw, which came with all the little components in the little bag, and you're going to run this into the hole at the back. And what you want to be able to do is you want to just see that sticking into the hole here, which your cocking rod's going to go into. Now, whenever it comes to tightening a nylon set screw, don't ever use the ball end of the Allen key. Use the square end. And if you bring that set screw down into that hole, you should just be able to see it, the tip of it sticking in. And what's going to happen then is when we tighten the cocking rod, it's going to cut into that nylon set screw, create a nice tension system so your cocking rod will never come loose. Okay, so we have the nylon set screw there, which can be accessed through the hole in the bottom of the gun body, as you'll see. We have the hammer lug at the front. So when we drop this in, we're actually going to want to take our KC trouble-free premium synthetic oil. Fantastic stuff. Put a couple of runs of that oil down the sides of the hammer. And then we're going to drop this into the gun body with the slot facing up and with the hammer lug facing down. Nice and simple. You should be able to see in the bottom there, see the hammer lug and see the nylon set screw. So if ever you need to adjust those, you can do them both from, you can adjust the nylon set screw from underneath. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the hammer lug down into the body. Now we need to line that up with a 1/8 Allen key that comes through the timing hole of the gun body, and look at where it's aligned. And very simply, we're going to take it and we're going to go 1/2, 1, 1/2, 2, 1/2, 3, 3.5. And that's how far we're going to bring the hammer lug down. And that's a great starting point for our mechanical timing once we get into the mechanical timing later on. So 3.5. Now you should be able to see the hammer runs back really nicely and smoothly in the body, but the hammer lug is actually stopping it from falling out. Okay, very straightforward. Then we're going to put the hammer spring in the back. We're going to take the IVG, and our IVG comes with 2 O-rings. One smaller, one larger. The smaller one is if you're putting the IVG into an old school WGP body. The larger one is if you're using the IVG in one of these new Retro Series bodies or Empire Sniper or Empire Resurrection body. So that O-ring just goes over the back, drops into the groove. A little oil or grease on that O-ring is never a bad thing. That's actually going to get cut by the threads and create tension so that your IVG never backs out either. So we're going to put that in, start screwing it in by hand, just to get it started. And then you'll be able to use a 3/16 Allen key to tighten that in. And one of the things that's very nice about this IVG is you can see you can use a 3/16 Allen key down the center, or you can take a 1/8 Allen key, put it in the outside, and use that to tighten your IVG and adjust your velocity. And you actually, this is specifically designed so you can do this with the back block in place, so you'll never have to take your cocking rod out of your gun again to adjust velocity. You just pull the trigger, the back block comes back, you put your Allen key in, you adjust it as you need to, in, out, and you should be good. Now I like to have it in a couple of turns in from flush to start with. It's a good point to start with our velocity settings once we get into that a little later. Okay, so that was stage 4. Thank you.